Hi, everyone. Welcome to Empathy Radio, our first episode. I'm Michael Herman.
I'm Emily Vitrano. This is Empathy Radio. Tune in to be heard.
Yes, tune in to be heard. So I guess we should start, since it's our first episode, with letting you know what Empathy Radio is and where it came from. Mm-hmm. So this is our first episode, and we're planning to do it every Sunday night at the same time. And Empathy Radio was born out of a larger piece that we're currently working on called the Empathy Project. And what is the Empathy Project? If you've been in a cave for the last 3 weeks while we've been spreading it all over every social media platform ever, then you're the only person who doesn't know. But the Empathy Project is a project that we started a couple of months ago when the pandemic hit, and we as artists were asking ourselves the question, well, what do we do now? How do we keep creating? And also, how do we address the needs of our community and the world? And we answered that question by realizing that there felt like there was this empathy deficit right now, that while we're going through this, all of us everywhere, that there seems to be a lack of empathy. And how do we address that through theater? And what can we do? to help everyone tell their stories and feel like they're being heard.
Mm-hmm.
So we put out a call for stories from everyone, not from artists, from you, from all kinds of people, everywhere, all over the country and the world, actually. Yes. And we got responses internationally. We got overwhelmed with responses and your personal stories. Mm-hmm. And what we did is we took those stories and then we wound up, for now, getting down to a group of 11 stories that we then paired up, matched with 17 artists, actors, writers, dancers, movers, shakers, DJs, poets, painters. And they're right now actually kind of uplifting those stories, collaborating, trying to figure out how they want to embrace those stories and then share them with all of us. Mm-hmm. And we are going to stream that experience all together live May 30th, Saturday, May 30th, into your living room.
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Cool.
And tickets are on sale now. We'll tell you more about that later.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
But we also found when we were gathering all the stories that we felt like there was still more to be done, that we could lend an empathetic ear, that so much about empathy is being heard, being listened to, just purely listened to. And so that's where Empathy Radio came out of, was this idea that could we come together as a community once a week and just chat. And the whole thing around it is that maybe our experiences of the pandemic are different, and that's also important to share, but that through gathering as a community, this communal listening, that could we discover that the experience might be different, but the feelings of love and maybe anger or frustration, joy, that those were all the same, and could that bring us closer together?
Yeah. So as we mentioned, we were so overwhelmed in such an amazingly positive way by how many stories we got from many cities, states, countries, and we had to kind of, for the sake of the first Empathy Project airing, get them down to 11. But what we thought we would do each week, how this will work, is we'll pull one of these stories that you may see later in an Empathy Project piece. We'll read one of these stories on the air, and then here's the really cool part: is that what we're hoping is that you'll want to interact and you'll want to engage, and you can call in live and get on the air with us live and talk, and we can all talk about, we can have at least a place to start where we can talk about the story we just read, but then maybe you have something to share, a story you feel like you want to share with us and needs to be heard, and we'll talk live. One of the silver linings of this situation we're all in is that we can connect with each other this way in real time and talk and listen to each other. And the way so here's the way that works. If you do want to call in and chat with us live, our producer sitting right off to the side over there,
what's up?
That's her. She will be monitoring the comments in the chat, in the Facebook chat. So if you want to call in live, you just drop a comment in the chat that you want to get on with us and talk, and she will send you the Zoom link to through Facebook Messenger, and we'll have you right on. You'll call in. We've all Zoomed, so we know how it works. And you'll call in with us, and we'll pop you right on the screen, and we'll talk for a little bit. Yeah. And hopefully that's how it'll work each week. And we'll do, take a couple calls each week, and then we'll do it again the following week. Mm-hmm. Cool?
Yeah.
Cool. So do we want to start with one story that we chose for this week?
Yeah.
Cool.
This is a story from Ian Durham. We received this via Facebook. So here we go. Freedom is a responsibility. We are not birds in solitary flight. We are a flock moving together in rhythm, intra-acting while interacting, sometimes intractably acting, but always responsible for actions invariably taken. Freedom is a power. We are like the wind, curling around corners, naked fingers feeling in the dark for something to caress, for something to tear at, in terrible ecstasy and unconcerned desire. Freedom is a myth, born of a desire for a world without consequence, without guilt, without reason, or reasonable responsibility, which is reasonably paradoxical and paradoxically reasonable. Freedom is an obsession that compels us to escape to it and drives us to escape from it. A diamagnetic dance, cyclically oscillating in its eternal quest for unquestioned balance, inevitably invariable. I dream of endless sky, of cold lakes and rivers, of the freedom of isolation in a vast remoteness, immeasurably infinite, isolation that is deafeningly quiet and definingly loud, that is claustrophobic, agoraphobic, and phobically formless. And so I am compelled to escape to the isolation of freedom, while driven to escape from the isolation of form.
Beautiful, amazing,
Yeah.
powerful. I think the first thing that just strikes me, for those of you who don't know Ian Durham, what's striking about this piece is that you read this piece and you hear this piece and you think this person is obviously a poet,
Yeah.
and obviously an artist, a published poet, and he may be for all we know.
Yeah.
But what Ian Durham is among many other things, he is a physicist. So and you can kind of hear that right in the language, but also such a wordsmith and such a beautiful control of language.
Because there's a really definitive exactitude that there, you just switch a couple letters in those words and you have a whole new meaning, which of course is how his brain works.
Yes.
Maybe
right, as a physicist.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, and just the sense of what struck me, the repetition of freedom, and how we've probably, not only through the pandemic, but also just with kind of what's going on in our national conversation these days, just been revisiting that language and what that means, and then especially during the pandemic, what that means.
Yeah.
Like, are we free to leave our house? Are we free to go somewhere? What can we do?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just such a beautiful piece.
I think what has been so fulfilling for me during this process is that you make a call for stories. You're not sure what you're going to receive, but that from, strangers and people we don't know, you receive these beautiful chunks of what feels like a very deep and personal part of someone's soul. And I think that I feel a great sense of gratitude to receive this in what feels like a personal way, beyond like I rented a library book. You know what I'm saying? Like it just...
Yeah, the kind of the generosity and the gift of this. Yeah, it's really, really beautiful, and we're grateful to Ian for submitting this story, and to a lot of folks who have submitted the story. So
standing by.
So great. So we are interested in those of you who are watching. We are very interested in hearing from you.
Yes.
Do you want to engage and talk about Ian's piece? Do you want to share a piece of your own? Do you want to share a thought of your own about what you've been going through and your experience? Because really, like Emily was saying at the top of the show, this really is about providing a space for all of us to feel heard, right? And I think right now, especially, so many of us are struggling with that, and we really wanted to create not only this larger Empathy Project piece, but Empathy Radio specifically, to create a space for you to be heard. Yeah.
And for us to come together, I think what theater does, what that live experience is that coming to the space, coming together, and the communal catharsis of the piece that unfolds in front of you. And we have access to that on television and on Netflix, but it's not the same. And I think we all have that weird sense of, I'm connected, I'm able to speak to family, and yet, why do I feel so far away?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
I
Through
talk
the
to
screen. Yeah.
I talk to more people now, and yet
Yeah.
I feel lonely.
Yeah, right. I've never been busier. And as you know, do we have any calls yet? No.
We've got somebody who's going to be joining the Zoom shortly.
Great.
As
Great.
soon as we get some technology figured out.
Great,
Cool.
great.
I can't wait.
So in the meantime, please, anyone who wants to join, please do. But yeah, like what I was saying, I think a lot of us can probably say this, like with what Emily was saying. You know, like especially me as an introvert, I don't love to go out and socialize and do things, and it takes a lot for me to do that. So for me to go out and socialize and have a phone call, a video chat, or anything, even once a week, once every 2 weeks, is a lot. And now I'm having 3 or 4 Zoom calls a day, every day, every 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Right? And you're right. Like we are connecting more, but there's also this strange disconnect, right? We're not doing it in the way, especially in theater, that we like feel like we need to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just breathing the same air with someone, I think, or I can look in the camera and I can think that I'm looking into your eyes, but I'm not, like, it's that thing of being human. We're not robots. We're not made to just have this screen in front of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really strange.
Mm-hmm.
How are we doing over there?
We've got somebody who's almost there joining the Zoom.
Really?
Yes.
We're
Cool.
very excited.
We're excited. We see a lot of action going
Yeah.
on over here, so I'm afraid to continue talking because like I see things
The
happening.
last thing I've got is
But-
almost there. I think also in this new age, we're also all struggling with our different technology and
Sure.
trying to adapt rapidly. I think that's
Sure,
part of the
right.
problem.
And I think we've had this happen on, you've probably been on a call where this has happened, where we imagine things are going to work really smoothly, but we're all figuring it out because we have no choice.
You know, we do have
So-
a comment on Ian's piece that
We
I'd
do.
like to share.
Sure.
Yeah. We had Rhea share that the image of the flock in that piece was striking, and how we are unable to move physically in this time, but so much movement seems to be occurring within each of us and in our relationships.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I was talking to my cousin the other day, and we would maybe text or whatever, but we have this thing where, like, we'll go for a walk, you know? And I was like, I haven't talked to you like this in years. And it's weird because in some of our other pieces touch on this, and you'll see in the larger empathy project that where does joy fit in this time period, and are we allowed to feel happy about things or at all in a place of contentment?
Yeah, you're right. We've seen this, as Emily mentioned, come up in several pieces where, and I've even felt this, you know, at the beginning, I would say, maybe not so much now after 2 months, but I was like, this is amazing for an introvert, like outside of the you know, obviously the disease and the sickness and the deaths and the obvious harmful effects and deaths going on, the situation of being isolated and in quarantine and stuck at home for someone like me who's an extreme introvert was very exciting, because it gave me a chance to, I had a great excuse to cancel plans, to not
Right.
say I'm going to meet you there, and not feel like I was the one who was the only one who was going to stay home. And yeah, so there was a certain joy for me in, oh, I love being able to be home and not have to be like feel compelled to have to go meet everyone and do
Yes.
everything all
Yeah.
the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not going to
We
happen.
got a big technical.
We have some big
Oh,
technical
no.
issues. Oh, that's too bad. Let me let's hold on here and let's see if we can solve that in
Yeah.
any way. Sure. Do you want to? How do you
But
feel about?
I'd like
Yeah.
to share another comment
Yeah.
to some of what you guys were saying from Shane, where he said, I feel so close to a lot of my friends right now. I've spent so much time with them via Zoom and other media. It just makes me miss them so much more. I'd love to just read through the screen and give all these people a hug.
Aw,
You guys included.
that's nice.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Shane.
and thank you, Rhea.
Yes.
And feel free, if you're commenting, you can also just Zoom in with us and we can talk
Yeah.
with each other and not just comment.
Ian would love to
He
join
would.
the Zoom right now.
What about Ian? You mean Ian that we were reading his story, Ian?
Yes.
How can we
Guess what?
Can't we?
He creates a meeting and we join it. Does that work?
Sure. Why doesn't? Because he's having trouble joining ours.
Yeah.
So why doesn't he create one and we'll join his? Right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's pretty cool. So Ian, whose story we read and who Rhea and Shane are reacting to, wants to call in right now.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Okay,
So
okay.
we're gonna
So
we
gonna
think
have him try to create a meeting
And-
and we're
and
gonna
we're
join.
gonna join Ian's meeting, which
Okay.
we didn't plan for this. We did not plan to join someone else's meeting on Zoom. We planned for you to join our meeting.
Up to us.
And as we're all learning in this new Zoom world, you can plan and plan and plan, and then this happens. So, we're going to wing it. We are still on the air, even though our on the air sign behind us went out.
So I'm gonna send you a Zoom link.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
In a plot twist.
Whoa. So
Okay.
we're going to get a Zoom link to join Ian's meeting, and then we're going to all somehow...
We're all doing it.
That's going to be
How?
interesting. Yeah, how are we going to do that? But what's fun for everyone watching is they're either going to get disconnected and this is all going to end tragically, or
No!
it's going to work successfully. So,
I sent you the link.
great.
Okay.
So what would have to happen is I need to leave this meeting and join his, right? And that should be fine.
It should be fine.
So, hi everyone. So we're going to go to commercial for like 5 seconds while we leave this meeting and join Ian's meeting, and then all of us are going to come back
All of
on
us.
this screen, maybe. If not, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. But stay there,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I think it's going to happen. So
Yeah.
let's try it.
I have faith.
I have
I
faith
do.
too. We
Okay.
will be right back
Stay.
after this brief message.
Okay. Now what?
Diane Yoder says, just like live theater.
God bless Diane. Yoder.
Where did Ian send that to?
I sent it to you two on Messenger.
Plot twist.
Where do you need it?
Whoa.
Where do you need it?
Jesus.
Who knows?
I don't even know. But we're gonna get there and we're gonna figure it out.
It's there.
I think this might work.
Yeah, because then we just.
Oh my god.
There he is.
We did it!
Amazing.
Ian!
Hello.
We did it. Thanks, man. Sorry about that. Sorry about the technical
I
issue.
apologize. I don't know what happened. Well, actually, somehow, so I guess I logged in too early, and then
Oh.
It keeps-
Rachel had to remove
Reset
me from the thing, and then
Ah.
when she removed me, it blocked anything from my computer. Like I logged in with a different account, and it wouldn't even let me in.
Oh
So,
wow! It was like, no, man, sorry, you had your chance. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's cool.
So-
I love your sweatshirt, by the way.
Yeah.
Awesome
so,
sweatshirt.
I wear this just for you.
Oh, thanks, man. As You Like It is a show that that Rachel and I and Ian worked on together, and it wouldn't have happened without Ian and all of the Durhams. But Ian, this is amazing and super
Yes.
cool.
Lots of woohoo success.
Lots of woohoo success,
We
and
feel it.
all of the woohoo success is for Ian, is to Ian, because we were done. Like
No.
if it was up to us, this wasn't gonna happen. So thank you, Ian, for coming through. I had, put Ian in charge of anything, and it's gonna happen. So I felt good about that.
Michael exaggerates.
No,
I'm just
It
a
go-
worker bee.
No, come on. But beyond, as you're hearing, I don't know if you were hearing, because you were probably trying to get on with us.
No, actually, I listened to the whole thing. I had it on.
Oh, good.
Okay, and there's been many people commenting and just reacting to your piece, and just some really beautiful feedback. So, we're really interested to hear you to talk a little bit more about. I know when we put the call out for the stories, you were interested in being a part of the project, and then when we received your piece, we were just so blown away by the imagery and the power of the language, and we felt really connected to it, and it was important for us to launch Empathy Radio with this piece, because it really felt like it spoke so powerfully to all of us. And I'm wondering if you either want to talk a little bit about the piece, or you just want to talk a little bit more about your experience and what inspired you to write that piece.
Yeah, thanks. I really appreciate the comments. And as Michael says, I'm not a professional poet or anything like that. I have been writing poetry most of my life, but I'm not. I just do it for my own enjoyment. Um, what what inspired me to think about this was sort of two different things, and the poem actually appears in two different parts. And the first part is really about freedom, and the second part is really about isolation, but it ties the two together. And the reason I was thinking about freedom is, of course, there are a lot of protesters, and I don't want to, I don't want to take a side in that or anything like that, but it just got me thinking about what freedom is and what it means to us as human beings, and how with freedom comes a great responsibility for each other. So having personal freedom, to me, is freedom really means that we have a responsibility to protect others' freedom at the same time. So there's an interconnectedness that happens there, and so that was sort of what the first part was about. But at the same time, this what has it been, 9 weeks now of being sort of cooped up. I'm kind of a person who, I mean, on the one hand, I have no problem sitting around and doing nothing for a few weeks. I mean, I'm not a super sociable kind of guy, in the sense that I don't feel like I need to get out and see other people a lot, but I do. I have sort of severe wanderlust, and I have long dreamed of like my place of comfort. Like, if I had a place of comfort, it would be up in the North Woods somewhere, canoeing or fishing or something like that. And so the second part, and that's kind of this weird thing where it juxtaposes. You have freedom because you're out in the North Woods, and there's you've got complete freedom, but there's no one around, so you're completely isolated. And so it's got this sort of juxtaposition of the isolation, but it's isolation in freedom, which is kind of unusual. And so that's what this sort of the second part was really about. And it was kind of about the fact that while I'm okay with being in this particular situation, I'm also, boy, I really wish I could get out and just go for a couple of weeks up into the north somewhere.
Yeah. How are you? I know, obviously, you have a wonderful wife and two amazing children. I'm curious how the kids, especially, have been dealing with, the school aspect and not being able to be in class live, and have they gone to online learning? How has the school year been for them, and how are they dealing with the situation?
It's been a little tough in some ways. Online learning is not well. So online learning is great when it's designed to be online. But when you take something that is designed to be face-to-face and then you move it online unexpectedly, it doesn't always work very well. Yeah. And it can be tough. And of course, for those who don't know, so my son Nate is in his first year of college, and he is actually in. Michael knows this, but was in England, and so we had to get him out of England to get him back, and that was tricky because he was way out in Cornwall. He's studying architecture at an art school over there, and getting him out of Cornwall was tricky. It was 6 hours to London, and then we had to get a flight back, and it was one of the last flights out, and so then he was taking classes online, and some of them were at 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning because
of the time difference.
Because of the time difference. So it was tricky, but he's done now, and we got through that. And then Sarah, my daughter, is still working through, but she's getting close to the end, and it's that's been a little trickier for a number of reasons. But we're just hoping that we get through it all by within a few weeks.
Yeah. The school year's almost over there?
Yeah, I think mid-June.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that. I'm not sure. I mean, the dates have been flexible because of this whole thing anyway.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
I guess my last question would be, when we put out this call and we described what the project, the Empathy Project was about for everyone, and we had those first series of like panel discussion Zoom calls, and you were a part of one of those early on, which was at that point we didn't even really know what the Empathy Project was going to be, and we were looking to folks like you to give us some guidance on how we move forward, and thanks to you and everyone who were on those initial panel discussions, we found a way forward, and now we have this amazing project that's coming up. And I guess my question is, what is it about theater that you felt so compelled to want to get involved in this project, and in terms of how theater is able to evoke empathy in audiences? What was it about theater? Because I know you're very connected to theater as well. What is it about theater and this project that felt like something that right now is important?
That is a great question, and I have to give a shout out to Michael and Rachel for reigniting in me my passion for theater. So I grew up in the theater. My parents are, even though I'm a physicist, my parents are not. They're arts people. They're theater people. My father just directed a show last fall, a production of Bright Star, and I literally grew up in theater from the age of my mother likes to say, as soon as I could walk, she does a lot of set design and set painting, and she gave me a brush. I would paint, and I got away from it for a long time, 15 years or 20 years, something like that. And then this As You Like It, which we worked on together, I was sort of the first time I got back to it in a long time. And what I realized was that, one of the amazing things about theater is that theater, unlike, and I don't want to, disparage film and television, but unlike film and television, theater brings you in a certain way because you're there. It's live, and it draws you in. You can feel the emotions that the people on stage have. I mean, sometimes you can, if you're sitting up close, you can feel their breath. It's you're there, which is, you can't hit pause and go to the bathroom.
Right.
No.
It's you're in the moment, and you just we've been watching. So I'm a huge fan of Shakespeare, and we've been watching. So I grew up in Buffalo, and we would go to the Stratford Festival in Canada all the time. My parents go every year, and this year they actually canceled their entire season, first time ever.
Yeah.
But they have recorded many of their shows over the last few years and put them online, and I've been watching them. And this week's was, or the one I watched Friday, was Coriolanus, which is one of the shows that I don't think I'd ever seen Coriolanus. The way they did it was just, again, and my parents had seen that production live, and they said it was just unreal. And the emotion that people have when in live theater, you get this, there's no pause. There's no cut. Let's try it again. It's just there, and the raw emotion. And that was, the watching this production of Coriolanus really brought it home to me. Just this raw emotion that comes out on the stage. And I think in order to create empathy in people, you have to be able to see inside their souls. You've got to be able to see that raw emotion. And I think that's the only way or it's one of the ways that really builds empathy is to really see what other people are going through. And I think theater really puts you there. It's as close to being in somebody else's skin as you can get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Felt like you would want to react to that.
I think it makes me really emotional. I think that as a theater artist, that's the joy of being on stage, is knowing that you're sharing something that's never going to be repeated again. Even if they came back the next day, that thing that just that group of people and you did is the final piece of art. And to that, in your own small way, maybe you did move. My dad always says this, and I just love it. Like, maybe you did move somebody just a little off center, just a little bit one way or another, and maybe they go back to center, but like just for a moment, they thought differently about something for a second, and that I think is a gift that we give in that live thing.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Michael there was a quote about that you had hanging up near your office once.
Did I?
Said something about theaters, like something about it being in the, it's a one-time thing.
Yeah.
It's like it's in the moment.
Yeah, it's just in the moment, and that's why those of us who practice theater and are in theater, that's like you were saying, that's what we love about it. It's just that one moment, and then it's it's not like TV or film where you can pause it. It's over, and that's that experience that everyone shared together. We all shared it together that one time, and we all have that together.
Yeah.
And I think you're right that when we're able to sit there and feel those feelings and empathize with these characters on stage, we're able to really recognize in ourselves and each other what those feelings are, because theater acts as, we often say, like both a mirror and a magnifying glass. So we're able to recognize and feel things that we might not see and feel in each other.
Yeah.
In ourselves on a daily basis. Our producer
I
is.
think we have maybe a comment from a teacher of Emily's,
Really?
Marilyn Marcano.
Mrs. Marcano is
We have a
on!
comment.
Who wants to say, Emily, this is exactly why I teach theater.
Ah.
Mrs. Marcano, I love you so much. I'm so happy that you're watching, and you are part of the reason that I'm sitting here, and it means so much to me that you're with me right now.
Oh, that's so cool. Ian, did you hear that was a former teacher of Emily's that commented?
I did hear that.
That's pretty cool.
Former teachers are wonderful people.
They are. Current teachers.
My father was a drama director for many, many years, and his former students to this day have a group where they hang out together and they have reunions, all because of his shows.
That's super cool. Mrs. Marcano.
Mrs. Marcano,
That's
we
awesome.
did Little Women.
Nice.
Lots of love.
Was this high school?
Yeah, this was high school. It was my last show of my senior year, and I was Joe March, and it was like the best. It was the greatest ever.
That's cool. Lots of love from Mrs. Marcano. We're getting from our producer. That's cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
So Ian, this was really awesome. Like I said at the top, when we were planning what this was going to be, what Empathy Radio was going to be, and what the first show was going to be, and what the journey was going to be. It was when we saw your piece. It was just really easy to understand how we would begin, because not only because the piece is so beautiful, but also, as Rachel and I have said to you before, any chance that we get to reconnect with you and to be able to work with you again, be it via Zoom or in person, we really do consider it an honor and a pleasure, because what you bring to what you do, no matter what that project is or activity is something that fills our hearts And if we could have on any project that we ever work on, if we could have a team of Ian Durhams and Sarah Durhams and Nate and Allison Durhams, I mean, we'd be set. Like, we could produce anything. We could just do anything. So it's really it's just really nice. I wanted to say that to you, that it's really nice to launch this next phase of what we're doing with you at the beginning of it.
Thank you so much. I got it again. I thank you guys so much for what you do. I mean, with the Humanity Project and the work you do in Tanzania, I mean, you guys have some of the biggest hearts of anyone I know. You guys are awesome.
Oh, thanks, man. That's
I even shaved my head just to look like you.
Ah, sweet. I like it. We're brothers now. So maybe what we'll do now, I think, if it's cool with you, I had, I'm sure you've seen it, but maybe some people watching haven't seen it. Our trailer for the project came out, and I wondered if I could do a share screen, which it looks like I can, even though I'm on your call, and we could all watch the trailer and kind of send everybody off that way. Is that cool? I can
let me just make sure that you can.
It looks like I can.
You should be able to share, so you should be good to go.
Cool. So everyone watching, stay on with us, Ian. And but for everyone watching, we'll do this every Sunday at the same time.
Yep.
Tickets went on sale for the Empathy Project today. It's donation based, so take a look at it and see if there are any. We created a bunch of levels, hopefully for everyone that can afford it. And if for some reason you can't, though. Please let us know, because there is absolutely no way that we would let anyone miss this because they can't afford even whatever the lowest level we came up with is. So you let us know, and money will never be a barrier to you experiencing the work we do. So, but on the flip side, with the reason there are options to donate is to help support all of the artists that are involved and who are out of work. So I'll leave you with that. We'll share the screen here of the Empathy Project trailer, and then we will say goodbye to Ian after that. Hold on one second, Ian. Let me see if I can make this happen. I think I can. Did I say everything that I was supposed to say?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. Which is strange that I remember. Here we go. All right, so here we go. So this is the trailer for the upcoming Empathy Project on May 30th.
What'd you do this weekend? Well, I walked from my bathroom to my kitchen to my bedroom.
The world as we know it is very changed, and even I wait tables, so I don't think that's going to be something at all lucrative or at all the same as what it was before. So I think that there's a lot of uncertainty.
All of a sudden, like, just everybody being sick and coronavirus here and coronavirus there. And the first week we were just in shock.
It was getting the email that school was closing. I just immediately was like, well, what does this mean? I'm in this new job. My son's going to be at home. Is my husband going to be able to be at home with him? Like, where can I send him? What am I going to do?
She has definitely had days where she's been, like, depressed, and she's, not even 8. I'm like, are you okay? And she just cries. And I can't even help her.
Certainly as an educator, when you're doing it virtually, it's entirely different.
As a physician, it's been more challenging.
Provoke empathy by getting people familiar with groups they were not previously familiar with. That theater can evoke empathy.
They're like, yes, I feel that too. And you want someone to recognize it so you can empathize in that way too.
And you're going to get something out of it as an audience member. And I think empathy is what binds all that. And without empathy, the whole thing kind of dissolves away, and we don't really learn those lessons.
Amazing. I'm ready for May 30th after watching that. Cool. Well, thank you again, Ian. Thank you so much. Thanks for saving the show by making the Zoom happen. I expect nothing less. You're muted. About
I'm muted. Yes. Thank you again, and I apologize
No.
for the technical difficulties.
No, that's all.
Yeah.
No worries. We're living in a new world, so.
Yeah.
Wait,
Thanks.
I wanted one. Ian, if you could if the coronavirus were not here, what's the first thing you would do if you could?
First thing
Yeah.
I would do if I could,
Uh-huh.
I would drive up to north of Rangeley Lake and go fishing.
Sweet.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. I can't wait until you're able to do that.
Same.
Cool.
Me too. Although I have to say, the second thing I would do is the second thing I would do is I would find a show to work on.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Cool. Well, thanks again, Ian. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Yeah.
And follow us on all of our social media platforms for more info on the Empathy Project. And we'll see you next week on Sunday for another Empathy Radio.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Ian. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so
man.
much, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.